Joining us now is a founder of the National Security Institute and the founder of George Mason's University Cyber and Tech Center, Jamil Jaffer. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hannah.
So UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer holding this press conference following those meetings where he outlined the current plan. Let's take a listen to that.
We've agreed that the UK, France and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States and take it forward together.
So what do you think exactly this new proposal is going to look like?
Well, look, I think everyone knows what the general construct of a ceasefire looks like. It involves boots on the ground from UK, from France, ideally backstopped by the United States in case there is a conflict. Russia withdrawing to current lines of control, Ukraine maybe bringing its troops out of Kursk in Russia. And then a question of, okay, what does a final status look like? Where do Russian forces end up in the long run? Where do Ukrainian forces end up? Does Russia keep any of the territory, about 20% of Ukraine, that it's conquered thus far since the 2022 war began? And then, of course, there's the question of Crimea, which was taken back in 2014, which I don't think anybody thinks is necessarily on the table right now in these negotiations.
I mean, the worst case scenario would be there's this ceasefire, this peace deal that comes about, and then all of a sudden Putin just attacks once again. So are you saying that you think it'll be peacekeeping troops from the UK and France and this so-called backstop from the United States? Is that just in case, all hell breaks loose and something actually happens, we wouldn't actually have boots on the ground? Is that what I hear you saying?
Well, I think that's the theory. I think President Trump has no interest in putting any American boots on the ground. And it doesn't appear right now that he's interested in a backstop either.
Right.
So we'll see if the British and the French are willing to do that or sort of able to convince the president, I should say, to do that. But then the other question is, why do we think these troops are necessary? It's because when we've seen ceasefires in the past, including the ceasefires related to the 2014 war, Vladimir Putin has repeatedly ignored those and violated them. He hasn't done the things he said he was going to do. He hasn't exchanged prisoners and the like. And so Vladimir Putin is known as somebody who can't be trusted to keep his word. And that's why there's a discussion of putting European troops into Ukraine to help broker this ceasefire and ensure it stays consistent, because there's a sense that Vladimir Putin won't take the chance of attacking UK or French troops.
All right. Well, Starmer also speaking about the need for European nations to contribute more money to Ukraine's war effort. This is something Donald Trump has said as well. Listen.
We cannot accept a weak deal like Minsk, which Russia can breach with ease. Instead, any deal must be backed by strength. Every nation must contribute to that in the best way that it can, bringing different capabilities and support to the table.
So saying they need to do more, they will do more. What about Trump? Do you think he's going to come back to the table? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, look, in a lot of ways, President Trump has gotten what he wanted, which is he wanted the Europeans to step up. He wanted them to put boots on the ground. He wanted them to contribute more. That's been a success. Where the failure has happened, however, is by giving away a lot of the negotiation leverage ahead of time, making it clear the U.S. won't engage effectively, won't back Ukraine, won't put more weapons and money behind Ukraine today. He's given up a lot of his leverage to get a better deal with Russia than what's on the table today. And so even though he's a vaunted deal maker, it's not clear that giving away all that leverage up front is the right thing to do when you're trying to get a deal done.
Well, King Charles extending an invitation to Ukrainian President Zelensky, really showing some royal support. We've got some pictures of that, I believe, that we can show. What do you make of that? Is this a big deal?
Well, look, I think it is. We saw Keir Starmer come to the White House just about a week ago, present a similar invitation to President Trump saying, here, look, I've got this thing on official letterhead from the king, which we know President Trump likes to see. They're now making the point, hey, we can do it for you. We're going to do it for the Ukrainian president, too, who we feel like you didn't treat appropriately in the Oval Office. Now, look, there's a lot of blame to be had for what happened in the Oval Office that day. There are those who say President Zelensky was too aggressive. There are those who say President Trump and Vice President Vance made too much fun of Zelensky and goaded him into it. Regardless of who's right about that, what's true today is the U.S. needs Ukraine to come to the table to end this war. The Ukraine needs U.S. backing, and the Europe needs U.S. backing to end this war. There's got to be a deal to be cut. And so everyone needs to put down their sort of arguments at each other and figure out how to move a deal forward that protects the American people, protects our national security interests, and protects Ukraine, whose territory was invaded by Russia 3 years ago.
Protects democracy. Exactly. Starmer also announced a new weapons deal for Ukraine at the presser. Let's watch that.
And today I'm announcing a new deal which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles.
So help us understand all of this. How much of a difference does this sort of a deal make versus the hundreds of billions of dollars or tens of billions? We're still working out to figure out exactly what that figure is, but that the United States has poured into Ukraine.
Well, in a lot of ways, it's actually a very similar deal to what the U.S. has done. Oftentimes, we'll provide financing to another country. We'll give them a loan in order to buy weapons from us, from our manufacturers. So what Keir Starmer is doing here is saying, hey, Ukraine, we'll give you some money, right, either a loan or a grant, and you can buy British weapons with that money. So what ends up happening is that, yes, that's British money. Yes, it's being given to Ukraine, but it's ultimately being spent in Britain on British weapons. And by the way, that's been true of a lot of the U.S. funding. We talk about all this money we're giving to Ukraine. The vast majority of it, Anna, was spent in the United States on American weapons built by American workers in American factories and cities across this country.
Well, it's so hard for the average person to get their head around what the difference is in $1 billion and $2 billion and $10 billion and $100 billion, but it's all too many billions, and we want the bloodshed to end. Founder of the National Security Institute and the founder of the George Mason University Cyber and Tech Center, Jamil Jaffer, thanks for joining us.